get it rezoned for the purpose of yoga and wellness studio. Hamilton is compliant with all the notifications and process. Planning and zoning motion was to approve the zoning. Before we get started with it, we're gonna pledge allegiance to the flag and do our invocation. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's bow our head and let's pray. Gracious eternal God, we come, Father God, we thank you for this another day, another opportunity to come to discuss the business of our great city. Father God, we just pray that each and every one that's on the sound of my voice, Father God, we will be here, be a part of what we do tonight. We pray that all our thoughts and mind will be measured, and we pray that whatever we do here tonight, you will be pleased with it. We ask these things in our Son Jesus' name. All heart just say amen.
Amen.
All right. So, is Ms. Childers here?
Yes.
All right, you would step up.
I handed some of these out the other day, but I got anybody didn't have a packet, but I'm gonna take a peek and stuff there. I got one.
You gonna be?
Okay. Well, I just wanted to thank everybody for meeting me tonight and giving me the opportunity to speak about my yoga studio. And as most of you know, I'm here tonight to discuss the rezoning of 322 Fort Lane here in Hamilton for commercial use. And I'd just like to start by recapping my background for those of you who might not have been at the last meeting 2 weeks ago. So I'm Verinda Childers, and my husband and I and our 4 kids, we live here in Hamilton, and we love Hamilton, we love this community, and most of all, we love to see it continue to grow and thrive. Just a little background on me. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I've been practicing medicine for 20 years this year. I have a pretty diverse background in lots of different fields of medicine, but my passion is lifestyle medicine. I love to help people improve their health through diet and fitness and improving their sleep quality and managing their stress better. I also fell in love with the art of yoga years ago, and it quickly became a huge passion of mine as well. And last year, I got certified to teach yoga in Costa Rica, and subsequently, I started my yoga business, which is Shiva Yoga and Wellness Corporation. And my goal is to provide Hamilton with a safe and fun environment for fitness and wellness for all ages and skill levels. So in addition to group and private yoga classes, my studio will also offer a high-tech infrared sauna, as well as full men's and women's locker rooms. I will also offer individualized 12-week lifestyle medicine coaching with both myself and my registered dietitian, Casey. My tentative hours of operation are going to be 5:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. And that's just to allow folks who work the opportunity to come to classes either before work or after work. And then I also just briefly wanted to touch on the subject of the name of my business, which is, as you guys know, it's Shiva Yoga and Wellness. And so just as a bit of education for everybody, yoga is not a religion, nor does it cater to any one religion more than another. Anybody can practice yoga, and I hope that you guys all will want to practice yoga with me. Because India is widely seen as the birthplace of modern yoga, there will inevitably be some intermingling of some Hindu words and phrases within the yoga practice. Shiva is, as was previously discussed at the last meeting, one of the main Hindu deities. And so on the surface, he is known as the destroyer, but he is most widely known as a representation for transformation. And specifically in yoga, it's kind of a symbol for just powerful energy, intuition, and transformation. And so that is kind of the symbolism behind the name of my business. I want I want people to come to my studio as a place for them to transform themselves into the best possible person that they wish to be. And then the, kind of the last point of business that I think was brought up at the last meeting, was parking. And I did provide you guys with kind of a schematic of two different potential plans that I have for parking. These were all very meticulously measured out on the property. So it provides, both plans provide for 27 9-foot by 20-foot parking spaces. Those are the extra large parking spaces because I know here in Harris County, we all have SUVs and trucks, so didn't want them to be compact spaces. That should accommodate my yoga studio at max capacity. My class sizes are going to be capped out at 20 people, so this should be plenty of space for everybody to have a parking space at max capacity of the class, including any staff members that are there as well, or anybody who might not be attending the class that might be using the sauna at that time. My contractor has also been working on some plans to make a handicap accessible ramp there right off the front porch. So those angled parking spaces that you see that are to the right of the house, 1 to 2, I don't know if there's like a rule on how many handicap spaces you need per amount of parking spaces, but there's plenty of room for handicap and for them to be directly accessible to a handicap accessible ramp. So that's in a nutshell what I have planned. I have great intentions. I want this to be a very profitable business for the city of Hamilton. And I want this to be a place where people can come and just enjoy themselves and feel good and make themselves better. So, thank you so much.
Anybody have any questions? Ms. Stewart?
Thank you, by the way, for providing this. And then you had said on signage, you're planning on just using the,
Yeah, I want to do like a sign like on the house. I don't have specifics on that yet.
But
And you
that's
had
okay.
mentioned there were some sign ordinances.
there are, but it's one of those things where, when it comes to that down the road, if all you're gonna do is hang something on your front porch.
Yeah, there is a size, it's nothing, it ain't this small, there's,
Oh, yeah. It'll be
there's,
big enough to see.
what do you say, your hours are gonna be again?
5:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. That's kind of tentative. Initially, just while I'm kind of ramping up business, I want to offer a pretty wide range of classes, and then I'm going to kind of see what sticks in terms of popularity. So it'll probably kind of get honed down a little bit. But I have had a lot of interest. I did put a message on the Harris County GA chat group on Facebook. The response has been pretty overwhelmingly positive. People really want to see this place come. But a lot of folks were asking about before work and after work hours, so I do want to have, some early hours as well as some after work hours.
Anything else?
I just say, hey, I think it's a great idea. I think it's good for Hamilton, and we just gonna have to get used to losing a few weights. A few pounds gotta go.
Come and see me.
And now, I know you had mentioned at planning and zoning, there's gonna have to be some significant work for wiring to bring it up to code for your, because obviously an older home is not exactly gonna support it.
Yeah, all of the
Infrared sauna, so it will take a little bit of time. Do you have an estimate, pending everything going through, about when you would anticipate opening?
Yeah, I think my renovations are gonna take about 2 months. That's in a perfect world, and we just never know these old
So we'll
homes.
ask
We
you-
might open it up and it might take longer, but yeah, all of the electric needs to be redone, needs a new roof. There was a couple things that aren't up to code on the porch, so,
Okay.
that all has to get done.
So you're looking more summertime-ish?
Yes, ma'am, yeah, probably early June, hopefully.
Okay, perfect. And I know we had sent out letters, I know we talked about it in planning and zoning, that to my knowledge, nobody proximate to the property nobody came to the meeting, none of the neighbors had come with any concerns about that, as far as I know, if anybody had reached out to
They were all
speak
notified.
about that. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, is there any citizen wish to speak in opposition of the rezoning?
I don't have an opposition, but I do just have some questions, if that's okay.
Yep.
My name's David Gagel. I live across the street in the yellow house on Hill Street. And I actually lived in this property for about 5 months. I work at Cornerstone Baptist Church, which is selling the property. So my couple of questions are, the first is the parking. And now knowing what the hours are, we are a residential street directly across, and there's families with young children and stuff like that. And so I don't know what the parking, potential is, but I came to a council meeting probably a year or two ago, just with concerns about the heavy flow of traffic during early morning hours and after school hours, because people like to use that as a cut through to avoid the light. And so we already deal with that on a regular basis, and so parking anything that's actually along the street, at least Hill Street, I find problematic. Whether it's inside the backyard, again, I don't know what her schematics are, but anything, in my opinion, it's a very narrow road, and even people backing out, and quite honestly, literally my house is directly across the street from it. Traffic at 5:30 in the mornings is not appealing to me, and I would venture to say that the other families around us that might be also carrying cars, pulling in at that time, and lights, shining in bedrooms and things at hours that, are often seen as sleeping time, at least for our children and things like that. And there are at least 3 houses that have children in high school or younger that are directly across the street from it. So I just want whatever is decided. I would like for the fact that it's still a residential area to be, yes, it was a church before that, but that typically is Sunday morning, Sunday nights, Wednesday night activities, not early mornings, not things like that. So again, I don't have a problem with the business. I don't have so my concerns were primarily the parking, just with that concern and the added traffic on the street, where we already have some issues of people not paying attention to stop signs on a regular basis and everything else under the sun. And so anyways, just safety, if you will, for those of us that live along that street right there. So that's my first one I just wanted to bring up, and I'm okay hearing if there's any responses to any of this stuff, but I'm just bringing up my concerns. The second, and I don't know how realistic this truly is, but I have seen Ms. Childers post the mention of goat yoga, and then I'm thinking, where in the world are these goats possibly even going to be on the property when nobody lives on the property? And if that's going to be the case, who's watching out for the goats, and if they get out and then they're roaming around our street and all that kind of stuff. So I maybe that was just a fleeting kind of side thing. I have no idea, but in my opinion, there's not space for that. I don't know how that would work. I am interested in hearing what those thoughts are, because again, residential area. It's unlike the gentleman that lives, down by the State Farm house that lives there and manages his, animals. Nobody would be living here, so the potential of things happening in the middle of the night, and then who's responsible and all those kinds of things. So that's my second question. And then my third is just a request on behalf of my children and the other children on the street. They would love to see the basketball goals stay. So that's so anyways, so those are just some concerns of somebody that will be directly impacted by a business going in across the street. So, all right, thank you all.
Do you want me to go ahead and?
Yeah, I will. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition?
Good evening, y'all. My name is Joshua Knobloch. I spoke at the Planning Commission meeting the other day, or last month, whenever it was, in opposition to this as well. I don't oppose this because I oppose the vitalization or revitalization of Hamilton. It's quite the opposite. I would love to see mom and pop shops pop up all around the square. I love this community. I've been a part of this community for a number of years. And it's also, I don't oppose this because I want to stifle this child's pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness, or freedom of religion, speech, or any practice that she wishes. It's quite the opposite. I've served in the military since I graduated high school in 2005 as an instrument fighting all across Iraq, serving this great nation and its citizens for their freedoms of whatever they may choose to do. But I do oppose this because of the building of a Shiva Yoga studio. Because this property was ordained by God to be used for His kingdom, and His kingdom alone. This property was given to further God's kingdom here in Hamilton. It would say that the rezoning meeting, what's in the name? What's in the name? As in, having Shiva Yoga is not that big of a deal, right? Anyone who kind of reads and understands the Bible knows that what's in a name is everything, right? A name is everything. Exodus 20, chapter 7 says, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless and take His name in vain." A name means everything. Our names mean everything. Shiva Yoga means something. God will not allow His name to be used inappropriately. He will not allow His name to be used in blasphemy. So why? Right? Shiva Yoga, as we've already discussed, the god of destruction, one of the most powerful supreme deities in the Hindu religion. Yoga is the ancient Indian practice of combining physical, mental, spiritual disciplines to achieve unity of mind, body, and spirit. Shiva Yoga is the process that aims to deepen a person's connection with themselves and the world and balance it through meditation and stillness. It's based and steeped in Hindu tradition of worship of their Hindu gods. Shiva was one of the original teachers of yoga. The population is growing here, like it or not. The population of Hamilton is growing. The apartments are going up right down the way on 27, and allowing the rezoning this property will take away a valuable asset of the Baptist Association, a value asset of the church, and a valuable asset of God's kingdom. Hamilton is the seat of many Baptist associations, is one of the oldest churches in West Central Baptist, or in West Central Georgia. There was even a time that we ran a foster closet ministry out of the zone. The zone is what we call the parsonage across the street that we're discussing tonight. So foster families could come by, get clothes, diapers, formulas, and things like that. Hamilton is a precious place. The zone is a precious place that has served the great citizens of Hamilton for a number of years. On the practical side, as already discussed, there is concerns of the cars in and out of the narrow streets down that way. I have personally walked little ones across the street from the church to the zone for all the Sunday lunches that we would have after Sunday schools and everything else that we were doing there. In cars, as was previously mentioned, sometimes fail to yield to and stop at the stop signs and obey the traffic laws back there. So there is a risk associated with this. If this proposal was being proposed to be built anywhere else, I would not be standing here tonight. I would be back home, having supper with my family, resting and relaxing after a day's of work. But the fact of the matter is, we are here. We are here talking about something that was ordained for God's kingdom. So with that, I just would like to thank y'all for the time to speak tonight, and I pray the best for Ms. Childers, her family, and the city of Hamilton, and everyone here tonight. Thank y'all.
Are you a member of the Cornerstone Church, sir?
No, sir.
Okay. Does anyone else like to speak in opposition? Would anyone like to speak in favor?
Yes, Hey guys, thanks for being out here today. Appreciate that. I'm Jordan Buckman. I'm a local real estate agent.
What was your last name? I'm sorry.
Buckman?
Buckman. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So, one thing I really like about Ms. Childers and the direction she's going with this rezoning project is that she has a true background in healthcare. She's been classically educated in healthcare. She's got experience in the orthopedic field. And then she also took the time to get her certifications in yoga as well. A lot of folks, you know, can start a gym or a wellness studio out of a passion, which is nice, but she truly has the deep medical knowledge and the degree for 2 decades of experience. I just wanted to point that out. I think that, you know, more recently, I've noticed it. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I think there's more of a renaissance period going on of people moving more away from pharmaceutical and surgical treatments and looking for other ways to, you know, heal our bodies naturally and without chemical or mechanical intervention as much. And so I think it's pretty cool to have something like that, you know, in the community. I also think this business could be an asset to the community because I don't know, and I could be wrong about this, about many other, there's probably like gyms in the area or something, but I think access to that for the population is probably for the greater good of the health of the area in general. So it's always good to have access to a place to work out and, you know, positive mental state. Another thing that I really like about the project is there's an effort here to preserve the historical architecture. There's an effort to preserve the historical architecture with the farmhouse. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's a pretty charming looking place. It's been there a long time. It's beautiful. I love that the church has been able to utilize it for so long, but the fact of the matter is it's in disrepair. You know, the roof needs to be replaced, the electrical wiring is very outdated. Not only will the property be refurbished, but it will also be brought up to code and be a safer place, and it will be preserved for a longer period of time. So, you know, of course, I'm a real estate guy, so, you know, I like architecture. I like old houses. Another thing that I wanted to say is I used an analogy last meeting. Not most of you guys weren't there for that, but I don't know about you guys, but I have 2 kids, and they have no filter. Whatever they think is exactly what they say. And I think of the internet that way too, a lot of times. Like, you know, because you don't have direct contact with somebody, you know, you just say however you feel. And I thought I probably wouldn't have posted something on Harris County GA chat because I see a lot of negative stuff on there, but the overwhelming support on her post was pretty remarkable. And so I thought that was pretty cool. So the fact that the overwhelming community, without being face to face, without needing a filter, decided to go in a positive direction with this one. Just about done. So as far as the parking concern, there's parking on the street, on Fort Lane, across the street for the church. I think that, you know, is an appropriate way to utilize the street. If the parking is slanted in such a way before you get to Hill Street, then the cars don't have to enter Hill Street. They can, you know, kind of pull in from 27, turn that direction, and then kind of pull into their spots, and then maybe back out that way. For some of those, at least some of the parking. Some parking will need to be utilized in the rear, and so, but I think maybe keeping it off Hill Street kind of makes sense there in general. I wanted to point out that the property, although it's zoned residential, it's really not being used in a residential manner already, and it hasn't been for a long time. I think the basketball goal should stay too. I think it's pretty cool. I think that the area of the basketball court may be expanded with more parking added back there, so that might make an even better basketball court. And I just wanted to point out that once again, the church is not being rezoned. I don't know what's happening with the church. This is, you know, a separate building that's across the street that's being rezoned. Also, I just wanted to point out, what is the speed on Fort Lane?
Yeah, I believe.
Probably pretty low. And the police chief
It's
right there.
supposed to be 20.
It's supposed to be 20, okay. I just wanted to point this one thing out. It's supposed to be 20, so the speed is low, but not only that, the distance is very short too. And so, hopefully citizens are able to keep their speed at 20 or lower in that short distance, in that area.
You ain't seen any high schoolers leave.
Yeah. Well, I was in high school once too, I get that. Anyway, all right, thank you for your time.
Anyone else like to speak in favor?
Do you want me to answer some of his questions?
I will, once I get through with it, anybody will speak in favor. All right, I'll ask you to come back, Ms. Shores.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious about the goats.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Yes, so as far as the goats, we'll start with that since you already brought it up. So my husband and I, we have a farm, so they live with us. And actually, I'm getting them in like 2 weeks. They're babies, they're really cute. But they will live with me, at my house, and then just like you would a dog, they come in my car, and if we're having it, and I don't even know, we might be doing goat yoga, we might not. It's something we're just gonna be kind of testing out at my house first. So it works out and people love it.
Is goat yoga in this pamphlet?
I don't know if it mentions it in that package.
We're gonna have to
I
YouTube.
have to Google that.
Yeah,
My daughter has
so-
done good yoga and puppy yoga.
It's fun, yeah. So anyways, we're gonna kind of test it out at my house in theory, and then perhaps have some special events if we have goat yoga. But they will just come with me in the car to the studio, we'll do our thing, and then they'll come home with me. So
Yeah, I
they
think-
will not ever at any time.
And I think
be
to
living
clear it
at
up,
my house.
it wouldn't be, you couldn't have livestock or nothing in commercial property anyway.
Yeah,
So
no, it
that
wouldn't
that
be.
would stop that.
Yeah, they would be living there.
Still have to ask.
I also would love to keep the basketball goal because one thing that I would love to do after we get established, perhaps in 2026, I'd love to be able to maybe have some summer camps, like just like little half-day camps for kids, maybe 1 or 2 weeks in the summertime. So that would be awesome if we can still have that basketball goal there, as long as it's not going to be in the way of like my parking schematic. But yeah, that way we've got some basketball out there, and it's just still a good place for the community to come and gather and have fun out there. And then as far as the traffic on Hill Street, I don't know if you saw the schematic that I drew, but there's only a couple of spaces in my proposed plan that are actually angled parking on Hill Street, so actually going in the direction of the church on Hill Street, and they would be angled backing out from that direction. Those, we can scrap those spots if it ended up that was gonna be a problem. The other thought that I had, in terms of just like the speed and stuff like that you were mentioning on the street, I don't know if it's possible to do like a speed bump or something.
I asked for those.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that wouldn't be up to me, I don't think, but maybe, a speed bump or something like that, if, because now we have county outdoors in that area, and then, potentially my place, so, the business isn't grown, so maybe the need for a speed bump, because it is, like you said, it's a mixed commercial and residential area. And then, what, was there another
that was,
question?
those.
Oh, the hours? Yeah, I think you
Well,
were
yes.
concerned about my hours being 5:30. I'm pretty accommodating, so if 5:30 is gonna be terrible for you guys with lights and things like that, I have no problem bumping my hours a little bit later. I do want to be able to offer some before work hours, so, maybe 6:30, something like that. So, but I'm, very easy to work with.
School year is different than summer, obviously.
Right.
So it wouldn't be out of the question. I would say, not knowing exactly what your schematics look like, anything that's on the side of the house on Fort Lane, because I would venture to say the whole backyard area is what you're thinking for a parking area.
Yeah, that's the
But any
worst.
of those things, they just literally would be right in front of our house, like even those slanted parking spots, and so, if there's a possibility to not have any street parking on Hill Street, as the residents of the street, we would prefer that,
Okay.
if at all possible.
It's only 5 spots.
Mr. Mayor, I got a proposal to that, like, a suggestion. Come on, Shane, go ahead. Just gotta, I don't know. That's it, yeah. Grab that one, right? Bring it over this way, so I can come in here, and then use this side. Can you do that?
So that was my thought, but this is the flow of traffic.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so these
And then
same
this is the
doors.
flow of traffic.
But around, like over here, take these on this side of the house.
So they can exit this way.
So the area over here is,
It's still just take from here to this way.
oh, yeah, okay.
So the flow of traffic will go each way, turn right down this way, then they can take an exit Hill Street. But that's just an idea to accommodate them in the community. That's just an idea.
Yeah, I know, there's actually lots of options when you really look at it. I know people were like, I have no idea how you'll put any parking spaces there, but.
That's right, good way to be fine.
From here, then they can come in,
I think
exit.
they were back up plan.
Just like.
Yeah, and, you know, like I said, I kind of just drew up a couple of different ideas.
Yeah, yeah,
where the
yeah.
parking are perpendicular versus angled.
Sure.
So, I mean, I think there's a lot of room to kind of.
Well, I was gonna say, because I'm
enable
fairly certain that side is where the gravel is. That's over that way. If you're, it's, because it's in between.
We'll give it to them.
Okay.
that. Okay. We good? I think that was all the main ones.
All right. I'm gonna, we've heard from opposition and in favor, and she's rebutted anything. I'm gonna close the public hearing. We'll go ahead. Now I will entertain a motion to approve or deny.
I will make a motion to approve, as it's written here, in hopes that she can rectify the Hill Street parking. To what we just spoke about on the other side of the house.
You make a motion for no Hill Street parking?
No Hill Street parking.
All right.
But the program, the plan to go forward without Hill Street parking.
All right, I've got a motion to approve with no Hill Street parking.
Because it's a tight bit.
Yep. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All right, I got a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Zone pass. All right, we're gonna go right into our regular session. Going to our department head, fire department.
Let's go and approve the minutes of the,
Oh yeah, I gotta go back up, I'm sorry.
I'll keep it in line now.
I'm sorry. I have a motion to approve the February minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the February 10th meeting motion. If there be any necessary correction, we'll make them at that time.
Got a motion, I have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? All opposed? Now, Chief Alden.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, over the last 30 days, we have had 17 calls, 6 false alarms, 5 medicals, 2 canceled en route, 3 large brush fires, and 1 structure fire that we were able to put out in an extinguisher up under the gentleman's house from a lightning strike. All in all, it's been a very good last 30 days, very calm last 30 days. We do have our ISO inspection coming up on April 29th. We are in full swing preparing for that. There is actually a lot to get done between now and then to make sure that we increase our ISO rating, which would help all of the citizens in Hamilton with their insurance. We do expect a very large jump in our ISO rating this year from the last time it was done 4 years ago, I believe. Mainly due to the additional fire engine, as well as a whole lot more personnel at the fire department than we had at that time. Blake and I are working diligently, even over the weekends, trying to make sure that we've got everything that the ISO inspector is going to be looking for and asking for. We are pushing our firefighters pretty hard to be able to help us get all of that done. So obviously more to follow in that. We are coming to the close of our grant that we received 2 years ago, well, a year and a half ago. I believe we finally got a good handle on that. And hopefully this week or next week, we'll be ordering the remainder of the items that the grant allowed us to order, paid for by the grant. So that's looking really good right now, so we're super excited about that. Anytime that we can get, items that we need that we don't have to pull out of the state budget is always a good thing. Any questions?
Do you have a copy of the last ISO inspection, so you can,
We do, and then you guys should have a copy of here as well.
okay, now make sure you have one, we just look at it. Okay.
We do.
Any questions for Justin? Chief?
Now, I was gonna say, it's always good, I know I walk on the weekends, and there's always something hopping over there at the training center.
Yes,
Every Saturday morning, if you're over there, cold, dark, everybody's always over there working, so appreciate all that hard work.
Chief, you and all the rest of the head department, I'm gonna tell you all got the same thing there. As they start renovating the yoga place over there, guys, help them out, go through and do the 5 things with them, check the hydrant, let them know all the ins and outs in that there, help them out.
Absolutely.
And I would have Terrence, Chief, and Ben, we all gonna do the same thing.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you.
Streets and maintenance, Mr. Terrence?
First things first, we got the pole barn slabs done on and for it Saturday. With the help of the county, Ben, Ashley, if it wasn't for them coming up with that idea to tear it down, and it probably wouldn't have been that successful. But, it got done, it was safe, nobody got hurt. Thank you, Matthew Newberry from Wood, Mitch Newberry, and the guy that came got the team that on that.
Yeah.
Hamilton Village. We had a couple concerns about stop signs and signs you can't read no more, so we're gonna replace all those wooden signs that's out there. We got the posting in last week, and whatever the signs come in, we'll get them all put together and change out all street name signs. Put it on it. That's all.
I have a question, what is, our situation on Matt Miller looking like?
I wasn't gonna bring up that, though. Since you brought up that, I'm gonna call a couple of people tomorrow and just see what the best option's gonna be. But we don't know really what's going on until it's been cut into, if that makes sense.
That could be a big project.
Well, my biggest concern is just logistically, in the winter, it wasn't as big of a deal.
Mhm.
But now that we got the fields open, it's ball season, it's soccer season,
Oh, yeah.
we got a lot more traffic coming up and down 116, and you hate to say it, but heaven forbid if there's something that we're ever to interfere with this intersection here on 27 and 116, not having that as a way to bypass it, I would hate for somebody who was being sweet by needing rescue attention, having to go 3-4 minutes out of the way the other way to swing up and get them. Because that would be the quickest way, and I don't ever like to think of it that way, but you know how the traffic is even coming up at shift change. It's hard to get up 116, and, even though it's not we don't have people living there so much, it is an important bypass, to get into that direction, especially with apartments coming up.
Yeah, I got with Red, we're gonna call a couple of people, because it ain't gonna be an easy pass job. I think we got a sewer main that runs right there where things caving in.
Well, and it's kind of like going to the dentist, you got a cavity, you want to get it before you have to get the whole,
Distractions.
yeah,
It's gonna be a bigger project.
Yeah.
oh, I'm sure.
That's
Any
not
more questions?
I've got a little more depth on that too with, but yeah.
Anything else, Terrence?
No, that was my question, thank you.
Thank you, Terrence.
Hey, Terrence, you really do me a favor. Hey, I kinda like the idea of the basketball goal, so you the streets and ground, gotta make sure the basketball goal is straight from there.
Check, gotcha.
That's a
Police
passion-
report,
That's a
Chief Wayne.
passion piece.
Good evening, everybody. I think it's very humbling. I've been here 4 years. I don't think I've seen the attendance as strong as it is tonight. And, it's extremely humbling, and it's just a sign that Hamilton is growing, and I think Hamilton's future is strong. With that being said, over the next few months, I'm going to be preparing a formal strategic plan for the police department, kind of outlining the expectations, potential growth over a 1, 5, even a 10-year period. How can we want to do this? We want to have a general idea of the direction, goals, and expectations over the next even decade, so we can have a general idea of how to plan, grow, change, and adapt to the changing structure of Hamilton. A lot of businesses coming in, and a lot of apartments, residents. It is changing, and we want to be prepared for that change. Also, last week, I was invited to the Georgia Capitol to testify on the school zone cameras on how we conduct business here in Hamilton regarding them. It was on the State Senate Public Safety Committee. They wanted to really get an idea of how we do things, me and a few other departments, on how we run them, how they're effective for us, and how they overall are responsible for the reduction in speed in Hamilton. A lot of question and answer back and forth, but there's 2 bills in place. One wants to ban the cameras altogether, and then one is to put guardrails on the times and stipulations departments and cities can utilize them. That's what that was about. Also today, Officer Philip Nolan was presented with the First Friday Hero Award from his actions during a cardiac arrest event in front of our office in January. Several other members of Hamilton Police Department, as well as the Fire Department and Harris County EMS, were also presented with certificates as well. We also participated in the Community Helper Day at Park Elementary. Got to meet and interact with some youth in our community, which was very nice, and we appreciate the invitation. Going back to the planning for the future, we were able to acquire a patrol vehicle last week from Mike Fitzpatrick Ford and Newman. We were under budget. Me and Brett have been discussing for about a year on what number we can do, and we actually came out under budget, which is very positive. That did not come easy. It was a lot of quotes, a lot of negotiation back and forth to really be good stewards of taxpayers' money and really get the best value for a vehicle that we can. One thing I didn't want to talk about, I've been asked about the patrol trucks. It's not a typical police car. We do that with budgetary concerns in mind. A typical patrol car is much more expensive than a regular civilian model, which is what we acquired, but we are going to convert that into a police car. It does one of 2 things. It saves not only the taxpayers money on expense, but it also allows for us to have more space in the vehicle for storage. 2 of our officers are actually volunteer firemen in Hamilton as well. They're able to keep their turnout gear in the vehicle if that's needed. And one's actually a certified EMT, so he's able to keep his medical equipment in there for instances that we saw in front of our office to be able to really adapt to any situation possible. So, again, I just want to appreciate the support, not only from the community, but from y'all as well. Going on 4 years I've been here, and I feel like we've made substantial strides for our community. So I appreciate y'all. Without y'all, it would not be possible. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Well, Eric, I'm glad you're not gonna put any bench seats on the back of that truck. I'm glad you're gonna put a camper over it.
We might.
Ben, Mr. Hood, Water and Sewer Report.
We just got a few things, small things. We had a little water leak outside of our wastewater plant down there last month. Had to work on that, got it fixed. The other day, we had a water main break over at Heritage Villas, and we were able to get that fixed. Had to stay late to get that back online, but I think everybody at the apartment complex was without water, and a few houses on Bible Road were without water for about 3 hours or so, but we were able to fix it in-house and get it taken care of, so. that's kind of the small stuff. The big stuff is, we have to do some maintenance on the Sweet Bay Water Tower. So I'm sure some of you have heard about that from Brett maybe a little bit, but, you know, we've done all the other water towers in town, at the inside cleaned out, removing the sediment that gets inside. You'd be surprised how much buildup you can have in those towers, you know, and it's mostly just water going through. It's a lot of sand and silt, stuff that pulls out of the ground from the aquifer that we pull water from. So this one hasn't had maintenance on it for maybe 15 or more years. And, you know, if they don't get in there and clean it and then recoat it, you kind of get into rust issues. You know, you get a sediment buildup, so you might have something growing in the sediment. You know, we keep our chlorine in there, so it's very unlikely. But, you know, this is just something that's going to help us maintain clean and high quality water for all the Sweet Bay residents. The downside of this is that tower helps maintain the pressure for the entire submarine. So during the maintenance period, which is estimated to take about 3 to 4 weeks, there's going to be low pressure. Now, we're above the low pressure that's required by the EPD, so we're not going below that, so it's not like it's a huge issue on that aspect. So we're not going to have any violations, we're not going to issue any boil water notices. But when you take a shower on your second story of your house, you may notice it's a difference there. So we did a test on the 24th last month and let it settle down to the pressure that it was going to be at. And we knocked on a few doors and talked to residents, and I was like, hey, could you run the water in your sink, you know, turn your shower on, see how it's going to be? And they were like, yeah, it's about 50% of what it normally is. It's not very nice, but you can still get by. You know, and I hate to be like this because I like to try to plan and be proactive, but, you know, short of building a second water tower, it's very difficult to maintain that water pressure. And if there was a different way to do it, we'd be doing that. So we tried other things. We tried installing a VFD on our booster station to try and modulate that a little bit, but it just wasn't successful. So I guess, you know, moving forward, I'd like to kind of talk to y'all about that and see your opinions on it. Is that something y'all want to go forward with? Because
you kind of have to do it.
yeah, it's just
You don't have to pull the Band-Aid off.
yeah, it sucks. There's a few things that I'd like to do to kind of prep for this. I know some of you live there. You probably know the HOA. I'd like to kind of get the word out, just kind of be like, you know, if anyone has any questions about this, you know, what can they do? I'd also like to put a message on the next water bill that we send out, just to let the Sweet Bay residents know what's going on. Because I feel like a lot of the fear and surprise is people not knowing what's happening. So when they have this pressure differentiation, they panic. They're like, oh my goodness, something's wrong. But I feel like if we kind of reach out ahead of time, spread the word and say, hey, this is our date, this is how long it's going to take, this is what you can expect, this is why we're doing it.
Yeah, we can put some stand-up signs too right there.
Yeah, just say, you know, water tower maintenance in progress, you know, something like that. But, you know, it's like a necessary evil. You want to do it, you know, you have to, because otherwise, you know, your water tower is $4 or $5 million, you know, you got to take care of it, so. But I just wanted to say something about it here, and then maybe later we can talk more about the logistics of what we're going to do, so.
Do you have an approximate date on that?
You know, I talked to we have a contract with US Tanks, and they're the ones that are gonna be doing it. They say we're about a month out. So, you know, basically planning for that. So it gives us plenty of time to kind of.
Did April older than Nash?
Yeah, so.
Well, you know, I think we have, Red and I were looking over a memo we was putting together, and we're trying to pick a time prior to the summertime for sure. We're trying to get it just before the kids get out of school,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah, we don't want
And that-
everybody in the neighborhood
Right.
running their sprinkler system.
And that timeline gonna be dependent upon when US Tank can help us out.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
the other thing you wanna check is check when you've got spring break. And I say that because spring break, you've got more kids at home, and more kids running around in the yard, and more kids getting in the dirt, and more showers getting drawn. If you can, but if it falls a little bit behind that, after that, you're gonna have during the day, probably less draw, just because, folks are working whatever, they may not be drawing as much.
It should be after spring break though.
Oh, yeah.
So as soon as I get an official day and everything like that, we can kind of move forward, but, I'm scared to put anything on Facebook because, you never know how people are gonna handle that and all the crazy questions that go shooting every which direction with nobody there to answer it, so I really don't know the best way to kind of proceed on that, so.
I think we should nail down the dates first before we put anything out.
In that regard, it's in there, we've asked for it. So-
Yeah,
Yeah, as soon as I get a set date where they can be out,
And then we can start letting them know.
yeah, which sometimes for them it's difficult to kind of predict an exact, okay, we're starting on the 15th, because they don't know if a job's gonna run long or short, so, but they could probably definitely give us
A window.
within a week or 2 weeks,
Okay.
so, yeah. I'll aim for that and, we can work on the rest of it. But does anybody have any questions or anything else?
We have fire truck on standby. So
Yeah, somebody needs some water.
Put one out.
Yeah, Chief Oliver can rain some water down on them. So. All right, thank you.
All right, Brett, you wanna give the P and Z report, C report?
Good evening. I just got a couple of things to touch on real quick. Let me jump on Mac Miller and Valley real quick. We want to proceed carefully there in that one of the things about delegated funds is we've got some assistants that can help us with anything road maintenance. As a matter of fact, we've got multiple layers. I do fear that could be something somewhat major. I don't know what made the middle of the street, arguably right above our sewer, collapse so quickly. So if it's just maybe the years of gradual settling, kind of all caught up at once, but that's in flight. We being a small community, we struggle with top-notch vendors in this regard, for the guys who are doing bigger jobs, so there's a challenge there, but that is well in flight. We're gonna see about getting the best assessment possible and getting that moving forward. There's, again, when it comes to road maintenance, again, we've got a lot of assistance through the state, through some of the programs, and a lot of it expires. A lot of it, you need to use it or it's gone. And it's not one of those things where you just lose that year. It can set you off as far as your chain. LMIG comes to mind in that regard. The Sweet Bay Water Tower, I'm glad Ben's on it. He didn't say it, so I'll brag. I don't know if Sweet Bay has an active homeowners association, but as he and I were talking about how to get out in front of this, just from the citizens' awareness standpoint, you know me, I'm a House of Prevention's work with Pound to Cure. I just asked on the fly if the homeowners association or a group of citizens met after hours, would he be willing to make himself available? And it was an emphatic yes. He said, I'll be glad to make myself available. So I know a couple of you guys live in there. We just want to get the information out. It's unavoidable. It has to be done. And then I'll tell you this too, there's a financial reason to do it as well. Not just the general maintenance of the water tower and make sure it doesn't one day fault or have major issues, but we pay for that a little along. We have a contract, and as long as they service that tower inside of their window, then we don't pay any more for it. It's part of that annual that you see every year. So, any questions about that? And again, Mr. Howard and I are jockeying back a bullet point. I can change it any time. I just laid out something I think that ultimately be available to the citizens under some letterhead, and then of course they could put it on social media about why we're doing it and potential impacts. Also encourage, we will encourage, I'll just start saying it now, when it starts, we would ask for essential water only, you know, which is why we're trying to place it in there before people's grass really needs the water. I know that's up to the owner as to when grasses need to get water. So we're gonna try to time it in there where it won't be quite as impactful, mess up people's beautiful yards. But we would ask for essential water, because every tap that's on or everything that's running will have an impact. Real quick, the worst did happen in one regard. I know I texted you a couple of times. We got the money in the budget. I've just been making sure we do it right, but we had a computer crash. I cannot tell you how fortunate we were. We had a database. We had a database on a desktop, which of course is a no-no, and it was on desktop only, and it crashed. Literally the blue screen of death. That's a term I stole from TSIS. Somehow, some way, while we were on the phone with our water processing vendor, the thing fired back up long enough for him to log in, copy the database off of Aaliyah's computer and onto another terminal, and we were able to recover. Had we not have recovered that database, I really don't know what we would have done to capture that, because there's absolutely no way to process or communicate with water without that database. So it's imperative that we move forward with that. In the process, again, as you well know, there's a couple of line items to kind of get us covered as we find ourselves very, very behind the times as far as resiliency for our systems, aging hardware, as well as some cybersecurities against some of those bad actors. All that is in place, and of course it got kicked into high gear when we had that happen. We did repurpose Aaliyah's computer. She has the first of the new units that will be for the mission critical machines. That will be the type of unit we go for, with some protections from our vendor that we've selected. And her computer was repurposed because they put a hard drive in it, and it's now streets and maintenance. So I think her computer was, I think it was 12 years old. So now they've got, the box is the same as our family. Friday, our audit got started. Keep engaged in that. We went over a couple of things that are going to help us smooth our processes, help us get some clarity, and actually take better use of some of our processes. I think it went really well. I know the mayor engaged in this, and it was just really refreshing. And I think Keith has seen, I think Keith finally sees the efforts of some of the things that we're steering for, really just to make life easier for all of us, and again, bring some clarity. I was going to read this letter from a citizen, but since it's getting a little late, speed bumps. We do have one citizen, and I'm sure he's correct. We have one citizen in Hamilton Village, and he says he represents his neighbor as well, who wants Eric and I to address the four-way stop. Eric's got some ideas. He's increased police presence at the time, but he's got a real passion for us to do something about the speeding in his neighborhood. If we say this guy does exist, he's being very patient, he's very nice over the phone, but he did write a little letter, and it says, "Dear Councilman," so maybe I can scan that in and email to you, but in the interest of time, I won't read that. But we've got that in flight. He wants more speed bumps. Chief favors maybe moving the speed bumps that we have closer to the stop sign. But again, we're on top of that. I'm sure you guys did get a dead council on that. And I'm not trying to hide that from you. It's right here. I am going to take a vacation between our meetings. I will be off on Thursday and Friday, the 3rd and 4th of April. I want you guys to know that. And not only will I be out of office, it's OOO and OOC. I will actually be out of city, but I will lose no sleep worrying about the administration of our town. You know, our guys and gals have this thing locked down. So that is just our brief report. Were there any questions about that? I know I kind of skipped through there.
I know last month we talked about, do we have a status on the charter?
Tristan, you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. I just muted. As far as we are aware, it is still being processed. logo. It's being processed by their attorneys. I'm tracking on the website that it hasn't had a first reading yet,
Okay,
but Senator Robertson tells us that things are in motion.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. You wanna go with the old business real quick?
Sure. So, again, I've spent a boatload of time catching us up on our status with the SPOS from all the different facets, because SPOS changes at the end of this month. So we're actually in pretty good condition, so the augmentation, there's some clarity to our SIP. The patrol car, which is in flight, came in just under the 55 at 54,944. So I would like to make a motion there. The maintenance shop is well underway, came in under the 100 grand. We used two different vendors, 72,809.99. And I put it, as you can see there, with some of the money, I'm Square Creek, if you remember, similar to what's happening near where the yoga salon is going in. We have a similar situation at that whole Bronner Lane, Hamilton Square Street, Dogwood Lane. We have a depression there, and at some point, I just remember as a child that the railroad track, which is now of course Man of War, had the two distinct deep ditches on both sides of it. We only have one ditch now, and what is happening is we're losing sidewalk at Bronner and Hampton Square Street because of just this depression. And we wind up, it actually, and I put it on there because you see where I put LMIG. This is a SPOS approved. This is something SPOS could handle as well as LMIG. LMIG's that thing that we scrambled to get spent last year because it drops off. But I've got us covered both ways to move forward with Square Creek. I don't have a budget yet for Square Creek. However, I did call Harrison Gray to get it started. To me, it just, I'm not an engineer, so they came out, they've got the ways to basically, take the baby to the doc thing and write the prescription, and he's done that for us, and that's $735. So after he figures out, it's a matter of taking some measurements, topo, grade, and things like that, and then they actually do some studies, and I actually gonna wait and watch it when it's actually raining. So we have Square Creek underway. There's a safety issue, that water really piles up, and as you know, we're trying to get that's gonna be a hot little commerce area. So you got the 4-H, the dentist, the sandwich shop, the ice cream shop, a potential restaurant at the corner, and of course our square, and then other parks and things that are entertaining. That's just literally not safe, the way that water builds up, mud, dirt, you name it. But Scott took a full look at it, and he doesn't feel it's gonna be that. With some of the infrastructure we've got there, we're probably just looking to augment what's there. But like I said, this wasn't one of those ones where I wanted to not get an expert in there to engineer a real fix, so.
All right, thank you. On that patrol car and maintenance shop, that was part of the SIP in our budget.
Right.
That was already voted and approved on. That was all laid out in the budget that we approved.
And I'll make those, like I said, now that we got the firmer numbers, we'll probably get those.
All right, I'll go over the new business real quick. We're close to a contract on buying 2.16 acres of land right next to the Dollar General. And that's where, in our next splosh, we have we've allocated that money to go build a new public safety building. So, that is close to being under contract. Like I said, it's 2.16 acres, and Ms. Brenda Witten and Ms. Roseanne Enterprises is who we're purchasing the land from for $107,000. That's what. So I need to make a motion and approved before we go into contract with this land.
I make a motion to approve for $107,000 for the parcel 052152 in Hamilton.
I second it.
All right, have a motion and a second, all in favor? All opposed? All right. Ready to go over the house updates?
Yes, I did want to touch on that real quick. P and Z, y'all are back to work.
Yay.
You do have an agenda item next, at your next session, March 25th. It will stand as the first public hearing for potential annexation, which is the new Focus Campus.
Right, I've seen the signs there.
And then, of course, we'll have our city council on the 14th, will be the second hearing. And then some news, guys, please, if you can save the date. The only thing I was able to do was beg for the latest slot on Thursday, the 27th. But the regional housing study for this information that I've been talking about is slated for 3 p.m. on Thursday. Consider it confirmed. I'll be there, definitely can stand in. The citizen time slot is still to be determined. This is not something that Hamilton can drive, that they want the turnout, but they are limited, so, and Greg Panzer's helping us with that as well. Remember, it's a 9-county study, so they lay it out as best they can, get the word out and then confirm. But Thursday, the 27th at 3 p.m. is when they would love to hear from government officials about different constraints and different needs that you guys and gals see for our little city as part of that study.
Are they looking at having business folks here at that same time, or is that?
Not on that, but the one that is, and since it's not in my control, I hate to say confirmed, not on that. The closest thing I've been able to confirm, and you see I left the business side off, the closest thing, the only thing that's as confirmed as possible is at 3 p.m. I have assurance that the government side will be late Thursday afternoon, and I said, please give us a 3 p.m. slot. The other one, I don't even want to make a guess. I don't want to.
Would you mind, because we've got a bigger house here today, can you explain just real briefly what that is, real quick? I'm sorry, I know I had to keep this a little longer, but we got folks here that have no idea what this is.
So sure, I wish I'd have written this down. It's either 8 or 9 counties, and let's just say it is 9 counties. If it's 8, just do the math backwards. There's a 9-county study. 8 of them are in Georgia, and 1 of them is in Alabama. But one in Alabama is Russell County, Alabama, aka Phoenix City. But United Way has picked up the tab in the spirit of Governor Kemp's known assessment of how poor the housing market is in this general area, and his general drive to bring commerce and business and employers to this area. He recognizes that there's not a whole lot of places to live, especially for younger families, especially for young professionals. The term they've coined, they're calling it the missing middle. And honestly, this approach is the very rich are going to be okay, and even the opposite end, the poor have support. Not that they have enough, but who's absolutely taking the blunt of this right now are your new school teachers, or your young professionals. There's literally no place to live. And so certainly as the corporations that might come in with some light manufacturing, or might come in with some type of production or distribution center or some type of operation, they want to be in this area because the state of Georgia has become very favorable in that regard. However, they don't have a place for their manpower to live. And so we've been the benefit. It's going to be raw data. It's being handled by Georgia Tech. United Way is picking up every bit of the tab. And again, it's either 8 or 9, all in this general area, Muskogee, Harris is one, and so when I found out Harris was on, I avidly said, if there's any assistance that a local government can give to this, we want in, we want our citizens heard, and, because it's just gonna be simple raw data. It's gonna be, this is where you're at, this is where we think you're gonna be, and again, it'll help in the overall, make this area more desirable for some employers. So that's what that is. It's a kind of a golden opportunity for free. Our county, there's no telling what our county alone would cost if Harris County wanted to do something like this, and yet we're part of one that's rather comprehensive, and it's not gonna cost us a thing. And again, it looks at this whole region for things like that, so. And Harris County is already very desirable because, topographically we're beautiful. We still have some charm as well as an excellent school system. So the thing about it, we need people to be able to live here and go to work. So. Is that cool, Ms. Mack? All right, Georgia Cities Week. I'm doing it again now. This is not the last meeting before Georgia Cities Week, but we meet again the week prior. And so let me tell you what we confirmed. You can see my little bullets there. We've got a commerce luncheon at the Hamilton Community Center on the 23rd. That's going to be noon to 1. Remember, that's the business sector, so if you make it during their lunch break, they're real apt to show up. Last year's was an absolute massive success. Had a good meal. Everybody had a good time. They even gave away a prize or two, and it's still allotted for the different business people to network a little bit. Aaliyah has lined up a blood drive. She took the Red Cross to a couple locations we had available, and they landed on the community center at Harris County, but we're calling that part of our Georgia Cities Week. And again, the affair on the square, which is the 26th, that's the culmination of our celebration. The mayor said to consider our booths, I don't want to use that word vendor, because the vendor in this, not that vendors aren't welcome necessarily, but he thought it'd be a great idea if Hamilton, in the spirit of how other Georgia Cities Weeks have gone in the past, we provided the attractions. In other words, we had the big jump around. We had maybe free popcorn. He's even entertaining some live music, and I think has moved that forward. But our participants could be the non-profs in the whole county. We can have anybody that has a message or a product or is doing a drive or awareness. And I reached out to Cheryl Reese, and she has already contacted the following. The Harris County High School Tech Department, the STEM Center, the Humane Society, the Hope Center, Focus, Family Connections, Next Step Animal Rescue, Savage Heart, Virtue by Design, Young Life, Valley Rescue, Fields of Grace Farm, and the Harris County Library. And she says these are people that have set up at our second Saturdays before, and she says, I think we'll get some great participation. And so with that, again, someone who's wanting some guidance, I want to make sure this is something y'all have all had a chance to weigh in on. If there's something that you'd like to be a part of this, I'd like to give it a chance to make it into the playbill, into the repertoire, so to speak. But again, I think it could be a great idea. This being the first year of actually making it to non-profs, I wanted to do that. As far as vendors go, the reason why I'm not acting as if vendors aren't welcome, but the thing I'm worried about vendors is I would want the non-profs to have like first right of refusal. For instance, if somebody's a bona fide nonprofit and somebody we want to be a part of that, if they're gonna do a Dunkin' booth, I don't want the city to buy a Dunkin' booth. If somebody says, look, I'm trying to support the Humane Society and I'm selling hamburgers and hot dogs, I don't want to call a vendor or have a conflicting hamburger and hot dog sale. The same thing with spare ribs, gun raffles, whatever. I would want people to know, okay, guess what? That slot's already taken, kind of thing. And be as gracious with it as possible, just to make sure no one's time is wasted. And with the first year out, I think people would completely understand it. Don't try to sell popcorn because the mayor's going to give it away. I mean, you
The
know,
cotton candy.
the cotton candy, right,
We're
so.
gonna have cotton candy again?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Ms. Newberry, is the plant sale gonna be going on again? Yeah, they're gonna try to do it for that week?
I think it's earlier. I'm not exactly sure of their dates.
Yeah, there's a huge plant sale at, where the old, with Alec Garrett's building, it's the old eye doctor place. It's not anymore, but in his little courtyard back there, they have a huge perennial annual plant sale every year with, you know, homegrown stuff from the greenhouse and all. So if y'all are into anything like that, kind of come here. We can put you in touch with Ms. Newberry and let you know the dates for sure. I think last year, that last Saturday fell on our Georgia City's week.
It's also, that will also,
I'll let y'all know.
that will also be, and I forgot what event coincided with it. I think the makeup from the store market, but it will also be, and we're no threat to each other, but it's the bike ride too. So it's gonna be a big day in Hamilton. That's that celebration of man of war, that the Chamber of Commerce does. So it's gonna be a great day in Hamilton, GA.
All right, thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
All right.
I
Mr.
got it.
Fields, you got anything?
I just want to say thanks to the whole chiefs, what you guys do out there. Especially get that message about, this is Mr. Barkley.
Oh, yes, the Facebook message? Yes.
They got to the house and saved it, so who are you supposed to do this? Good job to your team. Chief, good luck with the new truck.
Ms. Wall?
Just thank everybody, just not just all the folks here working so hard for the city, but thank you all the residents who come. These are open every month. Planning and zoning is an open meeting. We meet the last Tuesday, or fourth Tuesday of every month, 6 o'clock. Come and be a part. Come and have your say. And the best way for us to help serve you is for you to be here and provide your point of view and provide that input, because it affects you. This is, you know, we're all residents here, but we all gotta work together, and this is how we're best gonna make Hamilton better for everybody, is that folks are involved. So invite folks. We're happy to have a good crowd. It's good to see everybody. Thank y'all for coming.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I thank you guys for reserving your time for me. I appreciate that. Parking in Hamilton overall, for 15 years, I've been trying to widen the streets, but they can't get no wider. So we have to realize that, you know, it's gonna get crowded. 10 years ago, we talked about Hamilton being a bedroom community, but guess what? Somebody left the door open, and everybody started moving in. We just want you to know that I think the chief has the utmost, eyes on safety and parking in Hamilton, Georgia. I think he's the right guy for it. I want to thank Josh. I thank you for your service there. I like your passion there. I say just keep it going there. Everything's gonna be all right. And Jordan, keep selling your real estate. Keep selling your real estate. But to all you folks in Hamilton, I tell you what, this is a nice place to live. I've been here since 2003, so I really know it pretty well. But we got some challenges, but we just have to understand that things grow, things expand. 12 years ago, we had roughly 900 people in the city, so we can count them all every day if we wanted to. But now it's like it's out of control. They're everywhere. So we can adjust. That's how the nature is a human being. We can adjust. And one thing about it, we have to cohabitate. So let's make the best of it.
All right, thank you. All right, yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for coming, everybody that spoke today. Good luck with your business, and like Ms. Wall said, we meet the second Monday of every month. We're open. City Hall is always open. Any questions or need anything, just let us know. But with that, I'll have a motion to adjourn.
I need to be adjourned this meeting.
Second? All right, all in favor?
Still listening.
So moved.
Good night, be safe.